Jessica Dishon was more than just a bright and lively 17-year-old. She was the epitome of a perfect daughter and sister. Known for her exemplary behavior, Jessica excelled in her studies, earning good grades and setting a high standard for herself. Her dedication extended beyond academics as she balanced a part-time job, demonstrating a strong work ethic and responsibility uncommon for her age. Jessica also took on the role of caregiver for her younger siblings, embodying a nurturing spirit and a sense of duty towards her family. Her mornings were a testament to her organized and disciplined nature. On a typical day, Jessica would rise early, ensuring that her younger brothers were ready for school before heading off to her own classes. Her red Pontiac, a gift she cherished, was a symbol of her achievements and independence. The balance she maintained between school, work, and family responsibilities was admired by all who knew her, painting the picture of a young woman destined for a bright future. The peaceful suburb of Shepherdsville, Kentucky, where Jessica and her family resided, was a place where residents felt secure. The close-knit community provided a backdrop of tranquility, making Jessica's sudden disappearance on September 10, 1999, all the more jarring. That fateful morning, the Dishon family's world was turned upside down, thrusting them into a nightmare of uncertainty and fear that would forever change their lives and the perception of safety in their small town. The morning of September 10, 1999, started like any other in the Dishon household. Jessica's parents, Edna and Mike, left for work early, trusting their responsible daughter to follow her usual routine. Her younger brothers, Christopher and Michael, headed off to school. When Edna returned home around 1:30 p.m., she found Jessica's red Pontiac still in the driveway, but Jessica was nowhere to be found. At first, Edna thought Jessica might have caught a ride with a friend or was simply sleeping in. As the minutes turned into hours, Edna's concern grew. Jessica had always been reliable and punctual, never one to leave without informing someone. The sight of her car parked in the driveway, combined with the absence of her daughter, created an unsettling feeling. The family's initial assumptions, that Jessica had taken a ride with someone or was still in bed, slowly began to unravel as they searched the house and called her friends, only to find no trace of her. The true horror of the situation began to crystallize when Edna discovered Jessica's phone on the floor, its screen displaying a partially dialed 91, suggesting an interrupted call for help. Adding to the alarm, a single shoe lay abandoned nearby, further indicating that Jessica had left in a hurry and under duress. This discovery shattered any remaining hope that Jessica was safe, plunging her family into a nightmare of fear and uncertainty as they realized she was in grave danger. The news of Jessica's disappearance spread quickly. MT Washington and Shepherdsville, for the first time, felt a chilling dread. The tight-knit community rallied together, forming search parties, desperately combing through every inch of the town and surrounding areas. The fear of the unknown gripped everyone. As the news of Jessica's disappearance spread, the entire community was thrown into a state of shock. MT Washington and Shepherdsville, known for their close-knit and friendly atmosphere, were now gripped by a chilling dread. The tight-knit community, where everyone knew each other, was now united by a shared fear and determination to find Jessica. Search parties were quickly organized, and volunteers combed through the town and surrounding areas, leaving no stone unturned. The search for Jessica was exhaustive. Day and night, volunteers and law enforcement scoured the fields, forests, and rivers. Flyers with Jessica's picture were posted on every street corner, and the media coverage brought national attention to the case. The community, once filled with laughter and camaraderie, was now overshadowed by the dark cloud of uncertainty and fear. Each day without news felt like an eternity, and the sense of helplessness grew. During the investigation, attention quickly turned to the Dishon's neighbors, the Brooks brothers. Their behavior in the days following Jessica's disappearance was erratic and suspicious. They made several disturbing phone calls to the Dishon family, which raised red flags for the investigators. Bucky Brooks, in particular, exhibited a series of inconsistent statements and strange actions that could not be easily explained. Bucky Brooks became a key person of interest in the case. His erratic behavior and failure to provide a consistent alibi made him a prime suspect. During questioning, Bucky failed a polygraph test, further deepening the investigators' suspicions. The community, desperate for answers, began to see Bucky as the likely culprit. However, despite the mounting suspicion, the evidence against him remained largely circumstantial. In 2001, Bucky Brooks was arrested and charged with Jessica's kidnapping and murder. The arrest brought a brief sense of relief to the community, who hoped for closure. However, the subsequent trial in 2003 ended in a mistrial due to insufficient evidence and procedural errors. The case against Bucky Brooks fell apart, leaving the community once again in a state of uncertainty and the Dishon family without the justice they so desperately sought. Chapter 5. A gruesome discovery. On September 27, 1999, bus driver Karen Hobbs noticed something unusual near Greenwell Ford Road. She stopped her bus and walked closer, only to discover a decomposed body in a secluded area. The scene was horrific. The body had been mutilated, and signs of a brutal assault were evident. This shocking discovery sent immediate shockwaves through the community, reigniting fears and concerns that had been simmering since Jessica Dishon's disappearance. The body was found in a state of advanced decomposition, indicating that it had been there for some time. The area was cordoned off, and forensic experts were called in to gather evidence and piece together the final moments of the victim's life. Details of the crime scene suggested a prolonged and torturous ordeal, adding to the horror of the situation. The brutality and the apparent intent to ensure the body was found pointed to a deeply sinister crime. As the forensic team worked tirelessly, the community anxiously awaited news. The final confirmation came after a detailed autopsy and forensic analysis. The results were devastating. The body was identified as that of Jessica Dishon. This grim revelation plunged Shepherdsville into mourning and reignited the quest for justice for the young girl whose life had been brutally cut short. In 2003, the trial of Bucky Brooks for the kidnapping and murder of Jessica Dishon began. The prosecution's case relied heavily on the testimony of Detective Charles Mann, who had conducted the initial investigation. Mann's reliance on the polygraph test, which Bucky had failed, was a cornerstone of the case. However, the lack of concrete evidence and the reliance on a polygraph test, which is not always admissible in court, undermined the prosecution's efforts. Despite the community's hope for justice, the trial concluded with a mistrial due to insufficient evidence. The mistrial was a devastating blow to the Dishon family and the community. For Jessica's parents, Edna and Mike, the mistrial meant that they were no closer to finding out the truth about their daughter's tragic end. The case, which had gripped Shepherdsville with its shocking details and brutal nature, seemed to be slipping away into the realm of unsolved mysteries. The mistrial left the community in anguish, struggling with the unresolved horror of Jessica's fate. With the case growing cold, Shepherdsville was left with a pervasive sense of unease. The mistrial not only left a killer unpunished, but also left the community grappling with the notion that justice might never be served. The lack of closure and the fear that the perpetrator could still be among them cast a long, dark shadow over Shepherdsville. The once peaceful town was now haunted by the specter of an unresolved tragedy, and the Dishon family was left to navigate their grief without the solace of justice. Chapter 7. A new lead. After years of stalled progress, Detective Lynn Hunt decided to reopen the cold case of Jessica Dishon. She knew that to achieve a breakthrough and secure a new trial, she needed fresh evidence. As Hunt delved into the case files, she uncovered numerous investigative lapses, including questionable procedures related to Bucky Brooks' involvement, which cast doubt on his testimony and the overall direction of the initial investigation. Detective Hunt's meticulous review revealed inconsistencies and overlooked details that could have been crucial in solving the case earlier. The realization that these errors had potentially allowed Jessica's killer to escape justice was infuriating. However, the real turning point came when Hunt received an unexpected call from the county jail. An inmate claimed to possess critical information regarding Jessica's case, sparking a renewed sense of hope and urgency in the investigation. The inmate revealed shocking details during their conversation, stating that a family member had confessed to abusing Jessica and, fearing she would report him to the authorities as she approached adulthood, had ultimately decided to kill her to silence her. This revelation was both horrifying and pivotal, shedding new light on the tragic case and providing the crucial lead Detective Hunt needed to push forward in the quest for justice for Jessica Dishon. The family member in question was revealed to be Stanley Dishon, Jessica's uncle and brother of her father. When Stanley Dishon was initially confronted by the police, he vehemently denied any involvement in Jessica's disappearance and murder. Despite the mounting suspicion and disturbing details brought forward by an inmate, Stanley maintained his innocence. The police, while convinced of his guilt, faced a significant challenge. They had insufficient concrete evidence to secure a conviction in court. The case risked becoming another unresolved tragedy without a stronger legal foundation. Detective Lynn Hunt and her team persisted, hoping to build a more robust case against Stanley. They meticulously combed through old evidence, re-interviewed witnesses, and sought any new information that could link Stanley definitively to the crime. The community watched with bated breath, aware that this might be their last chance to see justice served for Jessica. The stakes were incredibly high, and the pressure on the investigative team was immense. The challenge was not only to prove Stanley's guilt, but also to bring closure to a grieving family and community. Realizing the precariousness of his situation and the potential for a lengthy trial, Stanley ultimately chose to accept an Alford plea. This legal maneuver allowed him to avoid admitting guilt while acknowledging that the prosecution had enough evidence to convict him. The plea resulted in a 20-year sentence. For the Dishon family, this outcome was a bittersweet moment. While it brought some measure of justice, they remained haunted by the belief that others might have been involved and that the full truth about Jessica's tragic fate had yet to be uncovered. The investigation into Jessica Dishon's disappearance was marred by critical oversights and negligence on the part of the police. Early in the case, an undercover officer in the county jail uncovered that Stanley Dishon, Jessica's uncle, had confessed to abusing her. Despite this crucial piece of information, the police remained fixated on Bucky Brooks as their primary suspect. This tunnel vision prevented them from pursuing other potential leads that could have brought clarity and justice sooner. The initial handling of Jessica's disappearance was also deeply flawed. When Jessica first went missing, the police did not immediately treat her case with the urgency it required. They waited for a confirmation of her disappearance rather than acting swiftly. This delay proved to be a critical mistake, as it later emerged that Jessica had been kept alive for 3 days after her abduction. Had the police launched a thorough investigation immediately, there was a chance she could have been found and saved during that narrow window of time. These investigative missteps had devastating consequences. The focus on Bucky Brooks not only allowed the true perpetrator to evade early detection, but also diverted valuable resources and time away from following more promising leads. The police's failure to act promptly on the initial report of Jessica's disappearance underscored a tragic lapse in procedure, one that haunts the community to this day. Ultimately, these errors highlighted a systemic failure that compounded the Dishon family's grief and delayed the pursuit of justice for Jessica. For Edna and Mike Dishon, The grief of losing their daughter was compounded by the complex and painful journey to find justice. Despite Stanley's conviction, their belief that others were involved in Jessica's murder kept their wounds from healing. They lived with the constant torment of not knowing the full truth, a reality that made their loss even more unbearable. Their trust in the justice system was deeply shaken, and they continued to fight for a more comprehensive investigation. The struggle for closure took a heavy toll on the Dishon family. Edna and Mike's relentless pursuit of answers and justice was fueled by their love for Jessica and their need to honor her memory. However, the emotional and psychological burden was immense. They faced each day with the weight of their unresolved grief and the haunting suspicion that justice had not been fully served. Their lives were forever changed, marked by the shadow of their daughter's tragic end. The community of Shepherdsville shared in the Dishon family's grief and frustration. The case had exposed deep flaws in the investigative process and left many residents feeling vulnerable and distrustful of the system meant to protect them. The fear that the full truth about Jessica's murder might never be known lingered, creating an undercurrent of anxiety and suspicion. The once serene town was now a place where the specter of unresolved evil cast a long and unsettling shadow. Jessica Dishon's story is a harrowing reminder of the devastating impact of investigative negligence and the fragility of safety in seemingly secure communities. Her case underscores the importance of thorough, unbiased investigations and immediate action in missing person cases. As we reflect on this tragedy, it's crucial to apply these lessons to our own lives. What measures can you take to ensure your community is safe and vigilant? How can you advocate for better investigative practices and prompt action in critical situations? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. If you found this story compelling and want to learn more about unsolved mysteries and true crime cases, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell. Stay informed, stay vigilant, and help create a safer world. Don't miss out on our future content. Welcome to Spooky Stories. I'm Milo, your guide through the chilling and the unknown. Here, we dive into terrifying tales that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Join our community of thrill seekers, and let's explore the darkness together. Meet Sarah. Like many of us, she used to dread bedtime. Hours spent tossing and turning, waking up groggy and irritable, and worst of all, her relentless snoring that not only disturbed her sleep, but her partner's as well. Desperate for a solution, Sarah tried everything. New mattresses, white noise machines, even sleeping pills. Nothing worked until she discovered our breathing for sleep routine. One particularly frustrating night, Sarah stumbled upon an article about the power of breathing to improve sleep. Skeptical but willing to try anything, she read about our breathing for sleep routine, a simple, scientifically backed method designed to clear sinuses, enhance breathing, and eliminate oxygen blockades. It promised to guide users through a simple breathing routine for the best sleep of their lives. Intrigued, she decided to give it a shot. As she began the routine, Sarah immediately felt her sinuses clear. She followed the step-by-step guide, learning how to breathe deeply and correctly. Within minutes, she noticed a significant difference. Her breathing was smoother, more relaxed. That night, she fell asleep faster than she had in years and, incredibly, stayed asleep all night. One of the most astonishing benefits was the end of her snoring. The routine included a simple breathing hack that stopped her snoring in minutes. Sarah learned that her habit of mouth breathing was activating her survival mode, preventing her from achieving truly restful sleep. By switching to nasal breathing, she deactivated this mode and allowed her body to fully relax. The next morning, Sarah woke up feeling refreshed and rejuvenated. She couldn't remember the last time she felt so well rested. Her partner noticed the difference too. No more middle-of-the-night disruptions from her snoring. The transformation was remarkable, and Sarah knew she had found something special. Sarah's story is not unique. Many others have discovered the life-changing benefits of our breathing for sleep routine. Imagine falling asleep quickly, sleeping soundly through the night, and waking up feeling fully rested. No more snoring, no more grogginess, just deep, restorative sleep. Are you ready to transform your sleep like Sarah did? Our breathing for sleep routine is easy to follow and starts working immediately. Clear your sinuses, enhance your breathing, and remove oxygen blockades with our guided routine. Say goodbye to snoring and hello to the best sleep of your life. Check out the link for this wonder in the description and the comments.